Today's episode is brought to you by applaudable.net.
For me, I could be the easiest coach to play for, the hardest coach to play for. If you come in and work your butt off, you're not gonna have an issue with me. If you don't, you're gonna have a huge issue with me, a huge issue. If you're not coachable, I can work around that. If you don't have the greatest basketball IQ, I can work around that. But the two things I can't coach is fear and complacency. A lot of times you see, teams like Perth. I mean, Perth is good every year because they got guys that know what it takes. I mean, Trevor does a fantastic job there coaching, but he probably only has to have maybe 3 or 4 conversations about what it takes to win a championship. Everybody else know on the team, and anybody that comes into that Perth system, they know what it takes because the other players are going to express it. Trevor's going to express it. You got a whole group and a front office that doesn't know anything about winning a championship. It makes it very hard. Makes it extremely hard.
And you mentioned The Last Dance before, and I asked this of Bevo last week. How much does that mimic some of the experiences you've had with front office? And not to go down the path of the teams you've left, but you know what I mean. Like how do you see that play out in your league? Is it getting the two working together because you are technically all one team, and your perception of The Last Dance, what are you thinking of it, like looking at it?
I'm looking at it, and yeah, me and Bevo have had some conversations, as all the coaches do. We sit and we talk about because it's funny, everything go wrong in a situation, but at the end of the day, it's our name that's on the line that's going out there. And when that game is over, that loss goes under our name. It doesn't go under anybody else's name. It goes under our name. So coaches are very protective in doing the right thing when it comes to winning. And people who really have, sometimes you look at a Krause and, for him to say organizations win championships, I mean, that's and you have Michael Jordan on your team, that's just not true.
Yeah.
That's just not true. But it's people like Krause right here in Australia that think exactly the same thing. Players win championships, and coaches can assist, but players win championships. You never met a great coach without a great player. You got to have some great players. So yeah, I'm watching that, and there's some similarities for sure.
Yeah, no worries. If there's anyone that's joined us, actually, I've got a. What are your non-negotiables in a team? Is Paul Foster. So Foz, he's
Yeah, my non-negotiables. I know Paul. My non-negotiables is hard work, and that's every day. That's every training. That's every possession. That's every game. Is you got to go hard. If you're not competing, we're going to have an issue. I was telling someone the other day. For me, I could be the easiest coach to play for, the hardest coach to play for. If you come in and work your butt off, you're not gonna have an issue with me. If you don't, you're gonna have a huge issue with me, a huge issue. If you're not coachable, I can work around that. If you don't have the greatest basketball IQ, I can work around that. But the two things I can't coach is fear and complacency. So if you're afraid and you won't work hard, those are my two non-negotiables. Fear and complacency.
So I interviewed Joe Lukens, who worked with the women's NBL. I get this wrong, and Fuzzy always corrects me. It'll be the Fire or Flames, but it'll be one of those two because one's in the NBL one's in the women's NBL. But she worked with the Cowboys as well. But she talks about embracing the suck when you think you've got no more to give, you actually have more to give, and if you can get over that hurdle, it takes you to a whole different level. And and that's what you're more or less saying when you say it's fear that stops you from pushing forward.
Yeah.
So to hear you say those two things sort of bring me back to that. I actually interviewed her, so she's got a book. I think it's similar. I've interviewed a few people, so I can't remember all their books. I won't say the wrong thing, but Dr. Joe Lucan. So, yeah, check it out again on the channel. But she talks about embracing the suck and how important that is as an athlete to take you to that next level. When the going gets tough, that's when your body wants to quit. But she says that's the time you don't quit because that takes you to a whole different level you've never been before and realize how possible things are.
See, that's where you get a lot of trainers, you get a lot of athletes, and they want to try to train at the optimum training pace and, and training load and all that stuff and get to the point where they're training like right at the right spot. That can only train your body. If you want to train yourself mentally, you have to step over the line. You have to cross the line. And then that line becomes normal, and then you cross the line again. You have to go into a space that's above and beyond. Now, sometimes you might sacrifice the body doing that. So stepping over that line sometimes might sacrifice the body. So you got to know what the situation is. If it's in season, you might not do it. If it's off season, yeah, let's take the risk and see how hard I can go. Let's see what level I can get to. As coaches, that is part of our job too, is to balance that line. But we don't want to create a perfect line and stay on it. We want to jump ahead of that line and be on top of it and try to pull them up. And then all of a sudden you got everybody on that line. Let's go again. It's really sometimes really tough playing for a coach with that mentality. I know Gorgeous ones like that, but that's how you get better. But it is draining and tough because a lot of times people want to go, you know what? We won 5 games. We won 5 games in a row. Like, what else do you want? Well, I won 6 games. Well, we won 10 in a row. You said you only won 6. No, I won 12. Like, I'm going to keep wanting it. I'm going to keep wanting it. If you're good, let's be great. If you're great, if you're the greatest Australian player, let's be the greatest NBA player. Let's keep stepping it up. And that's draining for some guys. It's tough for them.
The mental game, the mental muscle is something that a lot of people don't train, and I've been pushing my athletes. I hope some of them are watching this because I think it's what separates the best from the best is they really get control and understand and master their mindset, and I think that mastery of that is important. And again, spruiking, I've interviewed Alan Stein Jr. on my show. I've interviewed Kev Eastman and Brian Kane, who works with Olympians and UFC fighters, obviously guys and they're all in that space. So if anyone's listening that wants to check those interviews out, 2 guys that are working with athletes at the elite level, I think Brian helped one of the athletes in the UFC get 5 championships. So wow. He had like 5 belts, and he got given one. He shows in the interview behind him. George St. Pierre. He gave him one of his belts, and it was his first belt that he won, and he was in his corner as his mental resilience coach. So, and he's worked with Olympians and worked with everyone, NBA, Major League Baseball, hockey leagues, and helped Stanley Cup winning teams and things. He's been doing a long time, but yeah, so huge on that mental stuff, and I keep drumming on to my players, giving them the tools. But it's up to them to take on board what they're being fed. So, yeah, that's something I think separates people. Sorry to bang on about it, but I'm agreeing with you 100% on that because I'm hoping some of my athletes are actually here watching tonight and are hearing you say it, because it's one thing for the coach to say it, but when a better coach says it, it's like, oh, okay, now we get it. So, coachability, mate. So, but we'll just go to the group, have a look and see. Are you back in my group, or have you still got a group window open there?
I think I still got I kept it the same. I'm scared to touch anything here.
That's all right.
So I kept mine going live, I think, and I am watching you as well.
Yeah. So who are the 2 greatest players you've ever played with, and what made them so great?
The greatest players I ever had played with. Someone asked me that the other day. One, you guys won't know who this guy is, but his name's Kurt Smith, and he was came out of high school the same year as Kenny Anderson, and he was a point guard, and just his ability to understand the game and be in the right place at the right time, his ability to shoot the ball, pass, dribble, get along, to be a great teammate with everybody. He just had some misfortunes a little bit early in his career, and he missed out and didn't play in the NBA. But he's a guy that I thought would have been a big-time NBA player and really dominant. But my college contingent, Lance Blanks, Travis Mays, and myself, as a nucleus in college, those 2 were, together were probably 2 of the best I ever played with and really enjoyed and was successful. I've been on some teams with some guys that were a lot better, but just didn't get overall feel from them. But Travis Mays, Lance Blanks, and then Kurt Smith. to answer the question.
So a rumour was circulating that the job was up at that university.
At the university.
Yeah, sorry.
The only university.
Sorry, not trying to get a scoop, but that's a rumour, and maybe it's one that Joe started because he seems to start these rumours. Putting it out there.
They're in good hands with Shaka Smart. They're in very good hands with Shaka.
Yeah, no, I don't know the history, so when I say that, like, I actually don't, I didn't do my research. You can blame me for that. I don't go that back that far. I'm trying to make myself look younger than you. I don't know how old you are. No. If anyone's got any last minute questions, we'll do some shout outs and so the fire. So Foz corrected me, it's the Women's NBL Fire. One day I'll get that right. I wish they wouldn't call themselves the Flame and the Fire because they're just too similar. So we've got Ben Lena. There was a question, this was asked last week, and he asks, do you think that Bevo would make a good coach for the Boomers? And Bevo was asked that, would he like to do that? It's a job that he's been assistant for, and he'd absolutely love to get the head roll, and he just missed out against Lemanis the last time. What's your take on Bevo, and do you think we'll see him as the head coach one day of the men's team?
You know, this is I think Bevo will be an excellent head coach. This is what I'm always amazed at, though. My name doesn't get considered to even be a coach. And I do appreciate the question, and I do appreciate answering it. I think Bevo will be one hell of a head coach for the Boomers, and he's a great guy. He's done really well here. But I never even get asked the question. And we, as a bigger theory, we have to ask why. I mean, we just said I've won more games than anybody since I've been coaching in the NBL.
500.
I've won more playoff games than anybody since I've been coaching there.
Yeah.
I've been to more finals than anybody, and I don't even get a mention.
Yeah.
We got to ask ourselves why, Craig.
Again, Joe. Well, these rumours that Joe spreads, mate. We might have to start questioning Joe, but it is interesting because here's the thing with Bevo, and maybe it's because he has been the assistant, and it's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride. And I think that he's taken junior teams to championships and things, and I think it's just one of these things. Australia almost expects it one day, and it's like saying to the powers that be, why are you overlooking, if that's what it is, why is he being overlooked? And then you could ask the same question, like, I've done some research here, and it's got a lot of amazing things. So, yeah, there are good coaches getting overlooked.
But to answer that question, Bevo would do a hell of a job. I mean, he'd do a hell of a job. He's his ability, to get along with players and develop players and systems he's run and all that stuff, he'd do a hell of a job out there. No question about it.
Thanks for joining us for a basketball conversation. Feel free to start a conversation of your own with other OzSwoosh superfans by commenting below. And I look forward to sharing our next conversation with you soon. I hope you'll join us again sometime. Catch you later.